It's no secret that the United States is going through a little bit of a rough patch right now. It's hard for the average citizen to know what to do to make things right. I find myself wanting to be the change that I want to see in the world, and to me that means holding a vision of a more peaceful and united future and using the gifts that I have to try to make the world a better place. That's what it's all about, right? My name is Adrienne Gail. I am a singer-songwriter, and I'm coordinating pop-up peace choirs outside of ICE detention centers and holding facilities across the United States.
I'll sing from here and you sing from there. Together we'll sing down the walls everywhere.
So what compelled me to start the pop-up peace choir project? Well, it all started on April 22nd. I'd gotten sick with a respiratory virus that I had gotten while I was in Santa Cruz, California. And I came back hearing kind of like angelic voices in my head. I was pretty out of it, and I would go on to have fever dreams about global unity and global consciousness. As I was taking a hike to recover from this trip and to get some more inspiration, I all of a sudden started thinking about Archangel Jophiel. And I wasn't as familiar with her as I was with some of the other archangels like Michael and Raphael. So I looked her up online, and when I found an image of her, it said, "Go outside, get some fresh air, and connect with nature to relieve stress and gain new creative ideas." And that's exactly what I was doing in that very moment. And so I felt like it was a synchronicity that connected me to Archangel Jophiel, which I later realized as an archangel connected with creativity and wisdom and beauty. And after that, I actually had to immediately run back inside because I started hearing the lyrics and the harmonies of this song. I immediately started notating it into sheet music.
Follow the calling of your soul.
And as I was nearing the completion, I actually had a vision of this song being sung by a choir outside of immigrant detention facilities, especially one that held children. In this vision, I saw children getting freed. I saw ICE agents removing their uniform as if they were quitting. And it actually brought tears to my eyes, so that signified a lot of resonance for me. Because I was starting to get sick, I actually went ahead and recorded all the parts to that song that very day. And I made it a mission to figure out which choir could I give this to help me sing this in front of ICE detention facilities. At this time, we didn't even have an ICE detention center in the state that I lived in. I contacted people from my local singing resistance group to see if they actually wanted to caravan with me to an ICE detention center, but they said that they didn't really travel any more than an hour outside of the city. So then I started contacting singing resistance groups close by to these detention facilities that I had in mind, and some of them said, well, we don't really work with sheet music. We do more call and response songs that you can learn on the spot. And that's not the kind of song that my song was. So I started to realize that if I wanted to make this vision come to fruition, I actually might have to be the one to coordinate the choir myself. So I'm not quite sure how much stock to put in visions like this. I thought of it more as like a catalyst that made me consider a path that I otherwise wouldn't have taken. But do I think that ICE agents' minds can actually be changed through song? It's a bit of a long shot, but I do know that my life has changed because of the people that came into my life, sometimes because of divine intervention. And if I was capable of it, then why wouldn't an ICE agent be able to be capable of it? I'm actually one of these people who recently had a spiritual awakening, and I became viscerally aware of how connected we all are, how we all have this inner light that connects us to a divine source of consciousness. I believe that when we hurt each other, we're really just hurting ourselves. So many people who have had near-death experiences report that they actually have a life review in which they actually have to feel the effects that their actions had on other people from that other person's perspective. And I imagine it might be hard to get through that life review if you are harming people in really inhumane ways. Admittedly, I have a really hard time seeing the inner light of ICE agents when you hear reports that they are beating up the immigrants that they're detaining, when they are laughing at them for requesting edible food and medication that they need to survive. It's also hard to see their inner light when they are covered in riot gear and face masks, and from my perspective it seems as if they've chosen the path of a stormtrooper. Sometimes it seems like they're even worse than stormtroopers because of how volatile they are. I don't know how broken of a person that you need to be to treat other people this way and rationalize it. But I still believe that there's an inner light in there somewhere, and with the right support, they might be able to transmute their pain rather than transmitting it to other people. I believe that we all come to this world with a divine gift that was written on our souls to make the world a better place. But there are so many heavy things that we encounter here that I think can take us off the path of that mission. I'm thinking about a little boy in the Dilley Detention Center who loves trains, and we could really use an energy-efficient, high-speed train system here in the United States that connects all of our major cities. I'm also thinking about that little girl in San Benito who loves sea creatures, and we actually really need to clean up all of our oceans. And so I'm wondering now that they've been in these detention centers, there are so many more obstacles to them actually accomplishing these dreams. Not only are they unable to do it while they're in detention, but now they have all of this trauma to recover from, what might become generational trauma that affects their family for generations. There are certain types of suffering that I don't think we need to experience in this world anymore as human beings, especially that human on human suffering. The earth is going through a transformation, and we are feeling more and more the effects of climate change. Fires that are going to be displacing us, rising sea levels, harsh storms and harsh weather that are causing all sorts of damage. And I think that the earth is in a state now where it does need all hands on deck to make the world a better place, and we can't do that when we keep each other in situations like this where we're all suffering. The Peace Choir was created to advocate for immigrants' rights who have been detained without due process in inhumane detention centers across the United States. And if you're not an Indigenous person, then you are an immigrant in this country, or your ancestors are, and we don't need to be treating each other this way at all. And I suppose the Peace Choir is also a byproduct of my spiritual awakening as well. I'm one of those people that believes that we can raise our consciousness to bring heaven to earth. I went for this earth angel aesthetic where the choir members wear choir robes and they wear some sort of unique headgear like flower crowns or silly hats or anything else that kind of resonates with the background of the person who is singing. It signifies the beautiful uniqueness that we all have while still remaining a part of this peaceful unit, kind of like the squares of a quilt. And to me, the people who are advocating for immigrants' rights, they are heroes, they are earth angels, they are saints. And I think that those who are friendly to the Trump administration would try to label them as the angry radical left Antifa, which, first of all, when is anti-fascism a bad thing? And two, these are mainly concerned neighbors that want to make sure that they can use what legal options they have to fight against the fascism that is emerging in this country. So if you'd like to follow the journey of the Peace Choir as it travels to different locations, make sure that you like this video and subscribe. You can even donate to the GoFundMe in the description. The funds will pay for travel expenses and choir equipment that we might end up donating to different locations that we visit along the way. Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure you're using the gifts on your soul to make the world a better place.